It was one for the ages. It was a doubleheader of baseball, one of which you will never forget. Will today provide another game? More drama like that? It just might. We've got the story coming up next on the DLLS Rangers Podcast. So the State Fair of Texas ends this weekend at Fair Park, and at the State Fair, they will deep fry anything. Although I don't even think it's legal to deep fry Yankees. Still, last night, the Guardians did. Wow, what a game as they were fried in the end. David Fry with an unbelievable home run walk-off as a Metroplex native, by the way, was the hero of Game 3 and saved the Guardians' season, I would say. Hi there. Welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. Welcome to the DLLS Rangers Podcast. John Radigan, Abby Jones,
Howdy.
Jeff Wilson. We've got the prophet over there, Elijah Smith, and we are like flying high still. We were texting each other right after that game last night. What a game.
You guys want to be really proud of Elijah really quick?
Yeah.
Because he and I were at the Mavs game last night, so I didn't get to watch a ton of the baseball games, but he was texting me Shohei Ohtani updates. So
Nice.
we have turned our NBA man into a baseball lover.
How do you not? How do you not love the baseball we've been enjoying during really the entire postseason, but last night foremost among them?
Yeah, these the NLCS is kind of a stinker.
It
right
is,
now.
yeah, it is.
But those every other series, even the wild card series had something. Even the sweeps, I guess the Padres. The Padres and the Braves. The second game, the Braves came all the way back. I mean, it was there's been drama throughout, and that's great. And then whether they're your favorite team or not, if you're a baseball fan, you have to be very pleased with what you've seen so far in the postseason.
No doubt.
I agree.
It.
And you know what I read today? A David Fry quote that I think you're going to like, Rads.
Okay.
So the Tigers went with pitching chaos. He said, bunts, bombs, chaos.
Love it. Yeah, that's the recipe for success for this Cleveland team.
The Clevelands are calling it guard ball.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's their
I saw
mantra.
that. Which,
okay.
I mean, we didn't hear much about bunts, bombs, and chaos in that Detroit series. Maybe because A.J. Hinch stole chaos from him, right? They're like, we don't want to bring that up. That's a favorite to them. But anyway, I did see that too. I love that. And guards ball is a good thing too. See BC and Ben chatting along. We'd like you to do the same thing. Jump on in. It's a Friday. You can take a break from whatever you're doing. Hang out with us and like us and subscribe, please, as we still strive for that magic 10,000 subscribers.
10K.
Man, we're almost there. And we're having so much fun doing it. You're a part of it, and we want more and more of you to be a part of what we're doing here at DLLS. It's been super fun. It's been a real joy to watch games with interest and intent, right? Because we know we're coming in to talk about them. I think it just and then our chatters know, they're going to be talking about it the next day too. It's really it's a neat little community, right, that we're building here.
And you know what's funny? When I was at home, my mom was like watching the show, and she loved the just kind of joke that you made about some of the players you have to Google,
right.
And we were talking about typically to win and continue and make it to the World Series, your best players need to be your best players. But I feel like this has been a little bit of the underdog lately. Can we talk about Big Christmas?
Yeah, case in point. Yeah, how about John Kenzie, Noel John Kenzie, and I think they say it Noel, like Merry Christmas, right?
The Christmas holiday.
The French word for Merry Christmas. But Noel John Kenzie, I watched the entire Cleveland-Detroit series. Now, again, my brain goes places. Maybe I just missed him. I'm like, last night, I'm like, when he pinch hit, I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah, when he came up, John Kenzie Noel, when he came up, he was really hitting home runs at a pretty good clip. He hit one against the Rangers when the Rangers went to Progressive Field, and then he kind of cooled off a little bit, or you didn't hear as much about him. But really, I mean, if we're being honest here, it was a last act of a desperate man to send up for Stephen Vogt to send him up, 2 outs, 1 on.
Season on the line.
You need a home run. Yeah, season on the line. You need a home run. Yeah, you need a home run threat at least. And he got a pitch down the middle. I don't know if he was sitting on it or not, but he hit at a mile. I mean, he didn't just get it. He didn't just get it over the wall. He smoked it.
You think he knew?
Yeah,
I mean,
like through his bat.
Oh, he knew.
That was great.
Yeah.
I don't mind that sort of a bat flip. That's like, yep, that one's gone. Okay.
Well, it was such a huge situation. Of course, tying the game, and then they go to the 10th. Yankees don't get their ghost runner home, and so it just set things up for the home team. And I think they did try a bunt in the 10th.
They did.
Yeah. Bunt, bombs, and chaos. That's what we had.
Chaos.
Well, and David Fry knew it too. I mean, he at least knew that he was going to hit the ball off the wall, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, because that wall's so high, but it was 4 or 5 rows
back
above that giant wall back. So, left field and at that ballpark, it's a tough place to get one out because of the wall. And it's cold.
Yeah, sure.
But just great. Just, great drama, great baseball with everything, and especially everything that was on the line. Pretty good.
Yeah, and I was actually listening to MLB Network one day, and I heard a statement. I want to hear your thoughts on it, because they said they think that the Yankees win with talent and not execution. Because, we talked about the sloppy game yesterday. I know that Aaron Judge and Stanton, back-to-back home runs off Clase, which
amazing.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Very
Amazing.
impressive.
Yeah.
But, their guys were 0 for 3, 0 for 4, 1 for 5, 1 for 3. So it's like, when those best guys aren't playing, who's really stepping up? I mean, sometimes they just make bad errors, bad plays. Like, I mean, running the bases, they looked drunk the other day, as
right.
one of the broadcasters said it. So it is kind of interesting that, maybe they don't execute the best at times, but they still have the talent to pull them through.
There's definitely something to it. And I will say, when you listen to the post-game interviews, and a couple of the guys were asked about, what do you think of all the levers and the strings and the buttons that are pushed by Stephen Vogt? Yeah. And they're all like, understandably at this time, they're like, everything he does is right, and there's nothing a coach likes better than when he gets the buy-in from his players. And who knows? I assume he's probably had that prior to this. He is a manager who for lack of a better word, he's a manager who I notice, right? He does makes a lot of moves, and I'm like, wow. Now, I mean, we've questioned a few of them already on this show. And so I'm like, man, he is, but if they work, it's great. And it does build your credibility with players. And I think, again, right now, he certainly has their attention and has that credibility. And I think some of the moves that he's making are to maximize the fact that they're not as talented as the Yankees.
Yeah, you got to plug and play where you can. I mean, Matthew Boyd is the first starting pitcher to go 5 innings for the Guardians. So,
that was shocking.
Yeah, he was allowed to. Yeah,
right. We've seen bullpen have a large hand in this series. We knew that Cleveland's bullpen was one of the best. I think that the Yankees was a sneaky good bullpen. But I thought it was interesting. Yesterday we're talking about Clase. Is he the best reliever in the game? No doubt. But is he the best reliever in this series? And a guy that we were talking about, keeping up with his streak, Clay Holmes, he was 14 and something scoreless innings. And so he gave up a home run yesterday. Luke Weaver gave up a home run yesterday. And Clase. I mean, those are really big name guys that you don't expect to kind of fold under the pressure. And they did yesterday. I mean, it's like all of the great guys, not that great. And then all of the good guys, or all the not so great guys, really great. So interesting game yesterday.
Yeah,
that's why baseball's fun.
I'm not going to make excuses for Clase, but he hadn't pitched since Game 5 of the division series. And look, days off for closers are a big deal. If they have too many, they're not as sharp. And, so you figure he pitches game 5, travel day, 1-2 travel day. So he was pitching on like a starter's rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you see like Kirby Yates, for example, pitching in a 6-run game with no save opportunity. Rangers might be losing, but if he hasn't pitched in 5 days, they're going to get him some work. And so maybe Clase wasn't as sharp as he would have been had he pitched in one of the first 2 games. I don't know, but Judge just hit a fastball and rode it out to right field, hit it hard enough, and Stanton, everyone marvels about how hard Ohtani hits balls, but I'll still take Stanton as in a contest of who hits it harder. Stanton, when he connects, it's just
he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We saw him hit the hardest batting practice balls we've ever seen back when he was with Miami, actually. And they came to the ballpark, the ballpark in Arlington one time, and he was hitting them up to where that batter's eye, the top of Greens Hill, there's a railing up there. He hit a couple off that railing at the back of Greens Hill. So it was farther than we've ever seen anybody ever hit them. Now, I'm a sucker for history in baseball, especially when you consider that the history of baseball goes back to the 1800s. And we made history last night in baseball. Let's take a look at the tweet that I found about this historic nature of the game. Look at this. First time in Major League history where 4 different guys hit 2 out, game-tying or go-ahead home runs in the 8th inning or later in the same regular season or postseason game. It's
a busy night.
Unbelievable.
It was a busy night. Also, let's take a look at this timeline of when that all happened, too, because
it's 72 minutes.
I picked a really bad day to be at the basketball arena.
72 minutes of postseason magic. I love that. And that was all Eastern time, because our time, I was at an event last night, and I got in the car, and the first thing I heard the announcers say was that the fact that if you don't weigh 250 pounds, you're not going to hit a home run tonight because it's too cold and the wind and the blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, those are big boys.
And then I kept listening. And then luckily I recorded it. I went home and I watched. I didn't watch the whole game, but I darn sure watched the end of this game as each one of these big fellas just went yard. And again, more significant against whom they did it, Clase, Weaver, Holmes.
No, let's take a look at the bullpen because that was such a large factor in last night's game as well. And, like we said, this series probably is going to come down to that bullpen. The Guardians used all of their great guys last night. We've talked about Smith, Herron, Gaddis, and Clase. The 2 definitely with Luke Weaver and Clay Holmes for the Yankees. But what stands out to you here?
Well, that 5 earned run when yesterday on the show we were doing the Yankees bullpen had an even better ERA than the Guardians bullpen to that point in the series. It was at .77. I think of 5. Jeff can do that math. I can't do that math in my head. Add 5, and you're that's.
I found an interesting stat about Clase. I mean, we know what he did in the regular season. He's allowed 6 earned runs, 3 homers, and 6 postseason innings. And to just reiterate, he allowed 5 earned runs and 74 regular season innings. Yeah. So how do you make sense of the postseason?
Well, the first home run he allowed to the Tigers, he had pitched more than an inning for only the second time that season.
Yeah.
The one last night, I just gave him the excuse of the rest, but you're also facing the best players, right?
Yes.
The Central was really good this year, so they faced a lot of, Twins and Royals were good, but you also had the White Sox. Now, I don't know how many of his saves came against the White Sox, but I'm sure every team had a bunch. But you just don't play a White Sox in the postseason. You're playing the best guys.
Best of the best.
You're going against Aaron Judge has won an MVP, is going to win the MVP. Giancarlo Stanton won a National League MVP. Juan Soto is great. Hasn't won an MVP yet, but at some point, he's got a really good shot at it. So you kind of look at that, and then you go to the National League, and Ohtani's won an MVP, Freeman's won an MVP, Betts has won an MVP. So that's 6 MVPs right there. And I think I'm leaving an MVP out of this discussion. But anyway, there's talent in these series, and some hitters are good, man.
Yep. Sometimes talent prevails, and certainly I would still think it's clearly prevailing in the National League Championship Series. So it's a 15-minute segment, and okay, and the Dodgers won, right? No, actually, we're going to talk about that. When we come back. We'll talk a little bit about how they won and what they did, but I think that talent will prevail, and I'm beginning, really thinking too that the Yankees' talent will prevail, but we shall see. We've got that to talk about, and also more as we talk about the best games ever and some news on the Bally television front. It's all coming up as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, is it Z-Biotics? Yes, it's Z-Biotics. That's a pre-alcohol drink. And that is something that you want to avail yourself to. I am really looking forward to, I think it's in 2 weeks, my son and I were sitting down looking at the schedule for the NFL. He's a huge Bills fan.
Ooh.
I'm a huge Lions fan. And we both like the Cowboys. We're both going to watch the Cowboy. It's very rare that I will sit there and watch 3 straight games, right? That's like at least 9 hours of TV. And for me and him, that might include 9 hours of drinking. So before I do that.
Couple of brewskis.
Yeah.
How many packs?
Well, we'd never go through more than one. I mean, we'll pace ourselves, but we'll run through. I mean, well, if you're talking 6-packs, we might run through a couple over that course
That's what I'm saying.
of time. Yeah. So we're going to get our pre-alcohol drink on. That is Z-Biotics, 15% off. Z-Biotics, if you go to zbiotics.com and use the code DLLS Rangers.
And while you're at it, you know what you could do to make your football fun day a little bit better, a little bit easier? You could tap into HelloFresh.
Oh, yeah.
Because they really give you the gift of not going to the grocery store, not having to think about what you're going to cook or the portions or the recipes or anything like that. They ship it all in a box, and it's perfectly proportioned. So all you have to do is pretty much add the ingredients and then cook it. Takes like 20, 30 minutes, but something for you, something for your son. Maybe you guys don't like the same thing.
Sure.
You've got plenty of options to choose from. So everyone can be happy. You can get a healthy, fresh meal and cook it in a moment's notice. So we have an offer code of free Rangers. You can get 10 meals completely free. Go to HelloFresh today, redeem the code. That's
fantastic. We love that. Thank you, HelloFresh.
I do love HelloFresh. I used it.
Yeah, my daughter's been using it for years, loves it. So I'm a fan, even though I haven't tried it yet. Jeff's order came yesterday.
It came yesterday.
As obviously, so did his shirt. He's
we'll
ahead of me on the.
We'll get into that.
Ahead of me on the HelloFresh. Ahead of me on the DLLS gear. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good. And it's we've been telling you, nice material. It's a real nice material, and. So you're going to want that. We'll be talking more about that a little later on. We got to talk about this National League Championship Series. To your point, Jeff, you were saying earlier, it's almost like a little ho-hum. And there, after Game 2, we were like, whoa, the Mets are going home. Maybe they got something here. And again, the talent is prevailing. There's 3 National League or 3 former MVPs on that Dodgers team, although now Freddie Freeman is going to be out for a bit. But
he's in the lineup today.
Is he in there?
Yeah.
I thought they were going to sit him. Yeah.
He got the rest yesterday.
He said got what he needed?
He feels fresh.
Okay.
He feels HelloFresh.
HelloFresh. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I mean, these last 2 games have not been very entertaining.
No.
No. Now, you could argue, though, there were opportunities for the Mets. We talked about Kike Hernandez's home run the other day, 2 outs, try to get out of the inning, don't let them keep it going. And then even last night after the Dodgers, I think we're up 5-2 or maybe 6-2. The Mets had the bases loaded, no outs in the 6th and didn't score. So you just can't have that.
No.
You can't have that, especially in a short series where your opportunities are going to be limited. And so, now they're down 3-1 and they're up against it. the good news, I suppose, is that they're home, but
which
they're
don't
yeah,
prove that
but
to help.
they're starting Peterson instead of Senga today. It seems like they're I don't want to say desperate, but they're making some changes here, and I would imagine that Peterson, who hasn't started for a while, can't go more than 3 or 4 innings. So, you're going to have to dial up your best guys early in the game, especially if you grab an early lead. Just see what you can to live another day.
So Shohei Ohtani hits a leadoff home run last night to quiet everybody who was saying, well, look at there, he can't hit with runners when there are not runners on base. And he leads off the game with a home run last night. But it was interesting then that the Mets basically just took the bat out of his hands, right? And I don't blame them. We saw it happen. We've seen it happen to Josh Hamilton. You see it happen to good pitchers. We're not going to pitch to you, dude.
Yeah.
Hello, Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
It's the Barry Bonds treatment, if you will.
Yeah.
Shohei's definitely worthy of it. He's even the least bit hot. You just don't want it to snowball if you're the Mets. But yeah, the leadoff homer was his first home run with nobody on base or without anybody.
First hit.
But it still produced a run.
First hit with nobody on base. He had been 0 for 22 without runners on base, and then he hit that one. So that started that, and then of course he doesn't get credit for at bats the rest of the way because he gets walked. And after one of his walks,
3 walks.
After one of the walks, here comes Mookie. Another former MVP, and I love Dave Roberts' comments afterwards. He goes, "Yeah, he probably felt a little bit like Vientos did." He goes, and I don't blame either one of them. Right? You feel slighted, really. You're going to keep walking him to pitch to me?
Yeah.
And Betts showed him.
No, he has. He's hitting .333 over his last 7 games. That's going to go back to the NLDS. Mookie, I don't know. It's still Mookie Betts, whether he has a off moment, off streak. Prior to that, I mean, his last 12 postseason games, he was 3 for 44.
Wow.
So that's pretty bad with 1 extra base hit. So Mookie's been wanting to remind everybody, hey, I'm Mookie Betts. And he did that. But no, to John's point, we were kind of talking upstairs about American League. American League to us is fun to watch. And sometimes national, I don't know, I zone out a little bit. I think I can tell you why. It's because the Dodgers have outscored the Mets 30-9 in this series. That's a 21 differential is actually the most and the largest by any team throughout MLB postseason history through 4 games. So it's literally been a runaway every single game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, going back to, I think, the division series, or maybe it was the last series. Yeah, which was the division series. Jesus. There was a point where the Padres walked Ohtani to get to Betts, and Betts came through.
Delivered.
And there was a quote from Max Muncy after the game where Max Muncy basically said, hey, you're getting paid $400 million too. You're a great player. Just kind of like a reminder, like, hey, maybe they saw something, maybe Betts had said something, but it's actually $365 million.
Okay, yeah,
I guess Max,
not 400.
Max rounded up that Baylor math.
Max feels like he's going to invest it well.
This guy's great, and so. And then Max Muncy reached 12 straight times.
I was about to say, Max Muncy, put some respect on his name because he's reached base safely in 13 of 18 plate appearances this series. That's more than Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso combined.
Yeah, but 12 in a row.
12 in a row was another piece of history.
Yeah.
History was nobody had ever reached in 12
Reggie
straight.
Jackson is who he tied with.
Okay,
David Ortiz behind him, Billy Hatcher behind him.
Yeah, so.
Good company.
Boom. Yeah, there you go. And it isn't easy to get on base that many times in a row in these, high leverage. I mean, every pitch of these games is sort of a high leverage situation.
But and a lot of them had been walks, which is which has been a problem.
Yeah.
But a couple home runs in there, so it's not like he's just dinking it around. But Muncy had some really good years.
Yes.
He's dealt with some injuries. He came up with the A's and was a kind of like one of Ron Washington's projects there in 2015, and then then all of a sudden he fell off and he was in AAA. Ended up with the Dodgers. The Dodgers, he didn't even break camp with them, and he got called up a few weeks into the season. And ever since then, it's been an upward trajectory, and it hasn't been great average wise. And he's struck out a lot, but he's still a very productive hitter and a threat.
Yeah, no doubt. Keller, Texas. Max Muncy went to Baylor, and really nice young man too. Really cool. So that's the National League Championship Series as it was last night. And again, 3 days in a row for the NLCS because, again, all 3 games are in New York. And we talked about how rabid that crowd was going to be at Citi Field. And, we think we're kind of going ho-hum over the nature of these games. How do you think them Mets fans are feeling as they watched 2 stinkers in a row? I mentioned to Abby, Jeff, before you got here, similar to how the Rangers took all the steam out of the Yankees in 2010. Now, they only won 2 out of 3 up there.
Right.
But, it was almost like to win 2 out of 3 up there. Just beat those people into bloody submission,
Well, and it was the first 2. It was they won games 3 and 4.
Yeah.
3 was a really... It was a great game. I mean, it was kind of back and forth. Derek Holland came in relief of Tommy Hunter and really kind of saved the game. Benji Molina hit a big home run. And then the next game was Cliff Lee and Josh Hamilton teaming up to. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best games I've ever seen pitched. And I've seen some no-hitters. I haven't seen a perfect game, so I've seen some no-hitters. Lee just bleeping dominated. Yeah. Absolutely dominated in that environment, in that setting. It was pretty impressive. And then, Hamilton was Hamilton. And that was, that was kind of all she wrote. Now, they came out and beat up CJ the next day. It was a day game. It was a day game after a night game, and Wilson wasn't very good. And then they come home, and that game was close until the 7th. Right. That's when Nelly hit his big home run, and, Colby Lewis wanted the complete game, but you got to talk to Colby about this. He'd probably come on our show. He always tells the story, after 8, he's allowed 1 run, he's dominating, and he says, all right, Wash, this is my game. And Wash goes, oh, Colb, no. He does a perfect Wash impersonation. We going to Neff. And Neftali Feliz comes in and gets the iconic moment with the strikeout of A-Rod. The statue of him and Benji Molina hugging. But Colby, that's a pretty funny story.
Oh, I got to hear that. Yeah, I don't think I've heard Colby impersonate Wash. That's fantastic.
It's pretty good.
I can imagine it in my head. I'd rather hear it in person.
He's got like the cadence and the timing down. It's perfect.
Yeah, fantastic. So anyway, Mets fans obviously at this point hoping that they can do what the Yankees did to C.J. Wilson back in 2010. Did we show the matchup yet? Let's show the pitching matchup for tonight, or this. This is the afternoon game, right? Yeah.
This it's first game.
Yeah, that's the earlier game.
It's going to be 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock game, and you've got Jack Flaherty on the mound for the Dodgers, and you've got David Peterson. There you go. There we go.
Either one of them
cool
works.
Moment for Jack Flaherty. I mean, this is the team that he grew up loving. To be able to get the pennant for your city. I mean, pretty. Also, when he didn't start with this team this season, he was with the Tigers.
Right.
So yeah, things are looking good for Jack Flaherty. Hindsight is indeed 2020.
But he was great in his first start.
He was
in game 1.
But that was in Los Angeles.
It may be tough to match it. I don't know, but he went 7 innings.
7 scoreless.
7 scoreless. Yeah. And again, this is the 3rd straight day that these guys have played, so their bullpens are going to be worn out.
Yes.
Particularly the Mets.
Yeah.
So you kind of run into trouble here. It's like, are these guys? They're all going to say they can pitch.
Of course,
all the Mets guys, season on the line. Yeah, we're ready. Whenever you need us, whatever. But
when push comes to shove,
there's going to be some. Their stuff might not be as good. They probably won't be able to go, more than an inning. Some of these guys. So that's another factor to consider here as well.
Flaherty is 1-1 in postseason clinchers with a 1.5 ERA, but David Peterson makes his first career postseason start.
Wow!
So I'm expecting definitely early bullpen today for the Mets.
Yeah, I mean he's not going to be able to go very deep.
No.
He started at times during the season.
And his first start since September 29th.
There you go.
September 29th? Yeah.
Yep,
So
against Milwaukee.
So he started in the division series.
Yeah,
so that would have been game 1.
Through 6 1/3 scoreless.
Maybe I misspoke, but I still don't think he'll go more than 4 innings tops. I mean,
it wouldn't seem like it. That's still a long layoff between pitching, right?
Yeah, I mean he pitched in game 2 of this series, but they didn't let him go too long, and he actually gave up some runs. Maybe it was game 1. It was behind. I think it was behind Senga.
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah,
he's pitched earlier in the series.
Okay, all right. So he didn't start, but he's pitched. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Got it. So, that's the setup in the National League Championship Series. And again, the Dodgers at this juncture have an opportunity, as Ab said, to, win the National League pennant and qualify for the World Series. And look, at the beginning of the year, that almost seemed like a foregone conclusion. And, of course, their pitching on paper was almost as good as what their hitting is, right?
Yeah.
And if it had all stayed healthy, if everybody on that pitching staff had stayed healthy, I mean, this might have been like we talked about not having any 100-win teams. This might have been a team that could challenge for that 116 record,
Pretty good stuff. Yeah.
It would have been a really good team. But they feel like they're winning the way they were made to win, which is with offense.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And it's hard to, you look at that lineup, it's like, gosh, how does this team ever get shut out? But it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that is game 5 of that series. We'll have game 4 of the American League Championship Series coming up.
Do you think they make it happen?
A gentleman's sweep?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I think at this point that the Mets bullpen is weakened, and I think that the team they're a little demoralized. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like they haven't just been losing.
Right.
And they've been losing by 8 runs.
The Dodgers are rolling.
Yeah. So I think that one ends today. The soonest the other one could end would be tomorrow, and it could go further. So we'll see how that goes. We'll talk about and preview that American League Championship Series tonight, and then we'll get into some of the best games ever played. Last night's ranks up there. We'll compare it to some of the other great ones over the course of postseason history. That is all coming up on the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
Hey, guys, I don't know if you guys are in the market for new floors, but the Wilsons are. And we are definitely going to go to Empire today. With Empire today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. It's the best place to get new flooring. You don't want to go to a big box store where they might be selling some family CVP pipes or something, lawn care items. These folks only do floors, carpet, hardwood. You can use their app, which is the virtual floor designer. Just stand in your room that you want to get the new floors in, and wham, you can get a look at what it would be. So Empire, great products, high quality people, shop at home convenience. They service their own warranties. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details.
And while you're at it, let's get fitted for the best sports gear around. That comes to you from FOCO. We're talking hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything you need. There are even overalls. And Jeff was kidding about people who work in the garden. I'm a bit of a gardener.
Yeah.
I'll go put a pair of overalls on you.
Need to get you a Lions
pair
of overalls. Do you have a green thumb?
I have a bit of a green thumb. I'm a flower guy.
That.
So I'm going to look for fall flowers today. Get some pansies up in there and get the pots going with some pansies. And I may just haul off and get me a pair of overalls with the Lions gear on there or who knows what. So, and I may have to wear the overalls one day if I'm ever trolling the Cowboys crew again.
We need photos.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. So anyway, we want you to check out FOCO.com. Click the link in the description below for all of your non-presale items. You can get them with the promo code DLLS10. That gives you 10% off. FOCO. Beautiful. So, ALCS. Want to talk about it?
Which one?
Always.
Yeah.
ALCS.
All right. American League.
The big dogs.
All right, let's do it.
Starting pitching today, gonna be interesting. Another two fellas haven't pitched in quite some time. Luis Gil, September 28th. Gavin Williams, September 22nd. Was the last time those guys pitched.
Williams is huge.
Yes.
He is a monstrous person. He's I don't know if he would fall into the 250-pounder home run guy. I mean, he definitely weighs 250, but big guy, young guy, and this kind of tells you where these teams are. You know, they're in a 5-game series. They haven't had any days. You know, and their day off, it's not working out. Looks like the Yankees are saving the Cole, you know, for Game 5 on his normal turn. But Luis Gil he could win the Rookie of the Year. He could be the American League Rookie of the Year. He really could be. He's a good arm, throws hard, some control issues at times, but you know, maybe the bats got woken up. The Guardians bats, maybe they woke up last night. You know, momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher.
Right.
So if Gil is on, you know, it's probably going to be harder for Cleveland to score runs. The Yankees, you know, I would imagine Williams will be on an extremely short leash. I think Gil would be too. Although the Yankees with the 2-1 lead have a little more leeway.
Sure.
You know, even if they lose today, they still two out of 3 games at Yankee Stadium. I know what you say, Abby, about the road, but I think Yankee Stadium is a little different. So anyway, I don't know. I'd still think this is a Yankee series. I know I had picked the Guardians to go to the World Series, and I'll stay by that pick because I don't change midstream, but it just feels like the Yankees have a lot going for them.
You know who I think's kind of been the hottest for the Yankees, at least in the lineup? Stanton.
Yeah.
He hasn't struck out since the ALDS.
Wow.
That's 26 plate appearances.
That's big for him.
Yeah, and I mean, he's 14 homers, 30 RBI, and 34 career postseason games. I mean, he's averaging home run, I think every 8 plate appearances or something like that.
That's amazing.
It's something crazy. I think it was up there with Babe Ruth. I mean, just nasty stuff. And, you know, Judge actually has a pretty good numbers against Gavin Williams. He's gone deep 6 of the last 7 times versus Cleveland, including off of Gavin Williams. He's hitting like 324. I mean, you know, he's not going to get the pitches today, but I don't know. I mean,
you got to pitch to somebody.
I don't know if I haven't looked at the lineup yet, but you know, they took out Austin Wells. I don't know if they're going to do that today, and then they did Soto, Judge, Stanton. So I mean, for Gavin, if you know that about Judge, and then you know Stanton's as hot as he is, I mean, that's a tough 1-2 punch anyway. I think it's just a little bit tougher at this point in this.
Ask Emmanuel Clase if that's a tough 1-2 punch, right?
Yeah.
I think Wells. That was for against the left-hander.
Yeah.
Just okay.
I think that was just a lefty thing, and you know, get the guy a break maybe. You know, Jose Trevino did okay. He got a RBI hit, I believe.
Yes,
he also got picked off in a big spot, but it ended up I don't know. Maybe it did bite him. Whatever. Yeah, you know, okay, so let's say those 3 are stacked. Soto, Judge, Stanton. I mean, and if you have to pitch to one of them, who are you going to pitch to?
Right.
Probably Stanton statistically, but my gosh.
Not the way he's been hitting the ball
I don't know.
this postseason, So,
but I guess the antidote for the Guardians, a really unsung hero of their bullpen has been Cade Smith. He's got a pretty interesting story. He's 25 years old. 7 months ago, he was trying to pitch his way onto the opening day roster. He flew to Oakland with the rest of the club for opening day, and he still wasn't even sure he was on the roster.
Wow.
So he's incredibly dedicated and, you know, doing what he can. He had a dominant regular season. But he has, in the postseason, he's faced 30 batters, 9 innings pitched in total, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 15 strikeouts, and 1 walk. So, and he had a pretty decent game the other night.
Right.
Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Stanton were due up. He went through 3 Hall of Fame caliber players on 10 pitches, all strikes. So we've talked about all of their big, huge guys, but he's been a little bit of the unsung hero. I think.
And, excuse me, this is a huge game for Cleveland. We talked about it yesterday being a huge game for the Mets, right? You win this game at home, you're allowed to bring that crowd back into it, right? And you feel really good momentum-wise. Obviously, they feel good momentum-wise after last night's game. Now, if you win today and piggyback off of that, you go into tomorrow's game feeling even better and better. I mean, this is one of those pivotal points. It's never, until it's a closeout game, it's never a must-win. But this is one the Guardians really, really want to. They want to get the best, levers pushed, buttons pushed, strings pulled from Stephen Vogt again today in order to try and get this victory, because it'd be huge to even this thing at 2 games apiece.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I don't know how far Gavin Williams is going to go in the game, but expect all the big arms to be ready to go early for Cleveland. And you kind of look at their offense with the right-hander. I think it favors them a little bit more. Stephen Kwan is such a good hitter. Josh Naylor is better against right-handers than left-handers. Ramirez is good from both sides. He's actually a better right-handed hitter, but get the ball out to right field, I think, down the line a little bit easier in Cleveland, so maybe he can run into one. So I think it's better for the Guardians to face a right-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
see what happens.
So and there you go. Yeah.
Too with Stephen Kwan, we talked about how he's like 50% of their offense. I mean, he was 0 for 4 yesterday. Jose Ramirez 1 for 4. So it sounds like, I don't want it to sound as dumb as it's going to, I guess, come off, but it's like the things have to go right for Cleveland to win, obviously, but it's like the runners in scoring position. I mean, we saw the stats of if they have runners in scoring position and they score, or if they don't. And it does sound silly, but it's like if they do the little things, it really does pay off yesterday. Because, I mean, when we talk about, their left on base and their missed opportunities and the walks to strikeouts and all those things, they really do kind of have to mentally lock in and click. They have way less margin for error than the Yankees
It's a
do.
wise statement, actually, because that's the only way for them to win. You have to make up that talent deficit somewhere.
Yeah.
And that is the way they can make up that talent deficit.
It's funny, though. Yankees win in talent, maybe not execution, and then it's vice versa. The Guardians win in execution and not really on talent.
Yep, no doubt. No doubt.
And again, these lower budget teams have to have platoons. They can't fill their roster like the Yankees with all-stars at every position. Or not every position, but you know what I mean. Good guys, regulars, 500 at-bat guys. It's a budget thing. It's a way they leverage themselves through the season. They play the matchups, and if everything goes right, they're going to win more games than they lose. And then the bullpen too. That's the other area where they can outfox a big payroll team. So the platoon guys have to play well today. Brennan will be in there. He needs to play well. So anyway,
and we've talked about the possible, like, Dodgers could clinch today. Earliest that the Yankees could clinch is tomorrow. So then what? The World Series is on Friday?
I don't know if they wait a week. Do they? Or almost a week? I guess they do. They can't, for those corporate people. They can't move it
They
up.
can't juggle the TV schedule. They can't cast aside.
That's a long time to sit, though,
America's
is my point.
Got Talent. For a night, just on a whim. They got to stick to the TV schedule.
Yeah, so both teams.
There could be some time off here.
Both teams could be sitting.
We get to dive into Rangers free agency.
Yeah, that's right. We'll do that. We'll absolutely start getting some guests up in here if we can too. So, but I do think that one of the things that this Guardians team has done is, they've won this way all year. Guards ball. And to be honest, I got to be honest, I wasn't paying that close of attention to how they were winning, right? I knew they were winning, leading in a really good division. And again, the Tigers weren't even a factor in those days. But we knew the Twins were playing really well. We knew the Royals got off to a ridiculously good start, and they were playing well. They were a good team. So it's like, wow. And the Indians, the Guardians are the ones that are making the noise here. And this is the same way they've won all year long. So they know what they're doing to make this happen.
A beat writer said it best. He said, the back-to-back home runs off of Judge and Stanton was a gut punch that they weren't supposed to bounce back from. He said, but Cleveland did what they do best. They ignore what the external narrative and noise is, and they refuse to quit. And I think that's the truest statement. You saw it in the ALDS against the Detroit Tigers, and then they just really sealed the deal later in that game. But, yeah, I mean, it's the American League Central, so it's not like we have our eyes super close on it, but if this is how they win, then they're not, new to this stage.
No, and a heck of a point on the, Game 5 of the ALDS. What was the narrative? They can't beat Tarek Skubal.
They can't beat Skubal.
There's no way to beat Skubal.
No.
Well, they did.
They did.
So there you go. We've got more coming up as we get back to the game that was an instant classic last night and try to put it in perspective to other games that have been instant classics and that have stood the test of time. We'll talk about all that, as well as the news on Bally Sports. It is no more. We'll get to that on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
But I think Jess should do merch.
Yeah.
My wife, God bless her, she told me right when we launched, hey, I bought some shirts. Oh, great. Good for you. I figured there would be for my wife, She likes to represent and support what I do.
Support her man.
That's right. But instead, she said, "No, they're for you." And they came yesterday. I got two. I got the one I believe.
Yeah.
I believe the one that Ben showed us yesterday is one of the ones my wife got, and then she did get this Rangers shirt. I'll move the mic out of the way. How about that far?
There it is. Yep.
For the love of Texas. My mom says that all the time. Maybe I should get that shirt.
Anyway, this thing is great. It's super comfortable. Like we've been saying, it's everything that we've been saying it is, and they're shipping now. They were our factories in Florida, so there's been a little delay.
She said looking sharp.
Oh, there she is.
Put up her
paying
comment.
Attention.
Hello, Miss Jennifer. That's so nice.
Anyway, thanks, honey. I've got some more coming tomorrow. My TCU shirt should be in next week. So I'll have 6 shirts. 6 shirts I'll have. And
Siri got involved.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'll take Sundays off if I only have 6. But anyway, check out these shirts at store.allcitynetwork.com, and you get one free for being a diehard member.
Which is what you need to do.
Are you going to work out in it, you think?
If you become a diehard member,
shirts.
You're immediately Abby's best friend, which is a cool thing to be. And we'll like you too. We really will. And you get 20% off all of our merchandise. You get 20% off all of our events. You get you get behind the paywall to read some of the great articles that Jeff will be writing and all of our other great writers will write. And you get that free T-shirt. The T-shirt is worth $35. The subscription to be a diehard is only $79.99. So do yourself a favor. Become a diehard today. Yeah.
We also added a fun, I know we're going to talk about the best game ever, but to make it a little Rangers related, Elijah threw up in the chat, who's your favorite all-time Ranger? So maybe we could tie in the all-time Rangers if they have an all-time postseason moment.
Yeah. I see an Ian Kinsler up there.
I might be able to do a Kinsler. We need some more.
Obviously, we can all do a Corey Seager.
Send us a few more.
Oh, Corey BC, Corey Seager, because the Dallas tie. Or the Dodger tie.
Yeah. But yes, so when you're talking about the best games in history, right, in postseason history, last night's game is going to be one that is mentioned. It doesn't have to be a clinching game. I think the one that I see most often as, and by the way, Game 6 in 2011 comes up a lot.
It's very high on the list.
It comes up a lot. The one I think I see the most is that Game 4 of the 2004 World Series, when the Yankees had a 3-0 lead on the Red Sox.
The championship series, not the World Series.
I'm sorry, it's just postseason. That's right. Yeah. And the Yankees had a 3-0 lead on the Red Sox, 3-0, and they were up 1 run in the 8th inning, and the Red Sox came back to win that game and then won the next 4. And to this day, they're the only team that's ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in Major League Baseball to win a 7-game series.
And I mean, the key player in that whole thing was Dave Roberts, who came off the bench and stole a base against Mario Rivera and ended up scoring. So I would go with that. The Rangers, that Game 6 is definitely always widely thought of as one of the best World Series / postseason games ever. Don Larson throwing his perfect game.
That's a big one.
That's a huge one.
The 1960 Pirates is the Mazeroski one.
Right.
That's huge.
And then in 16, the Cubs and the Guardians. That Game 7 was a big one. In 2001, when the Diamondbacks beat the
Schilling
Yankees.
and Johnson.
That's another big one. Beating Mariano Rivera. Rivera was also on the mound for that loss to the Red Sox that kind of opened the floodgates for them. So there are a lot. I mean, if you want to go back just to last year, you can say Game 1 of the World Series with Corey Seager coming through, hitting that 2-run homer, and then Adolis winning it in the 11th. An underrated game, at least in Rangers postseason history, if we want to wrap Ian and Kinsler into this, was Game 2 of that World Series. The Rangers had lost the opener. It's a tight game going to the 9th, and Kinsler stole second base against Yadier Molina. Ended up scoring. The Rangers scored twice in that inning, 3-2. Huge win, but that was a huge moment. That's like the best stolen base in Rangers history. It really is.
Yeah.
And so there you go. There's my Ian Kinsler link.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice
I
little
have a favorite game, but it's not Tigers related. It's not Rangers related. 2006, Game 4 of the ALCS, 3-3. Tigers are playing Oakland. Bottom of the 9th. 2 outs. Magloire Ordonez up to the plate. Last 3-run home run to get the pennant and head to the World Series.
Wow.
Fantastic game. I retweet it on Twitter every year on the anniversary.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, and while we're talking about walk-off homers, Game 1 of the 88 World Series, when Kurt Gibson, Kurt Gibson for the Dodgers,
limps out of the dugout.
Right.
Yeah.
I just watched. That was something that came on Twitter the other day. The Vin Scully call and everything, and that's another.
And
one.
that was the second of those home runs of that ilk for Gibson in his career. He had done it in '84 against Goose Gossage,
right?
You could read Goose Gossage's lips on the mound. I got him.
No, they had the mound meeting with Dick Williams, the Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame manager, who was either, I don't know if he's from Fort Worth, but he definitely lived in Fort Worth. Came out and they talked about it.
Yeah,
Goose Gossage was like,
we need to do something. No, I got him. Yeah. I got him. Yeah. And Gibby goes bam to right field, man, and it was great.
Gibby got him.
Yeah. If you think about it, it's like the call has to be as good as the moment. You know? I mean, if it's going to be like in history forever, I mean, what's some of the best calls you can remember?
Okay. Ozzie Smith hit his home run off of Tom Niedenfuer in Game 4 of the '85 championship series in St. Louis, and Jack Buck said, "Go crazy, folks."
Yeah, that's
that
right.
one's very famous. Yeah. And then Kirby Puckett in the '91 World Series in Game 6 hit a walk-off homer off of Charlie Leibrandt, and Jack Buck again said, "We will see you tomorrow night." So those are pretty good ones. Yeah,
pretty good. And by the way, if you're speaking of that '91 World Series, that's another one. We mentioned this game yesterday.
Yeah, Game 7.
But that Game 7 figures very highly in best games ever. A deciding game where Smoltz goes 9, I think he went 9, and Morris would not be removed. He would not let the manager take him out. I think it was Tom Kelly in those days.
Kelly, yeah.
They would not let Tom Kelly take him out. And so he pitched the 10th. And then, of course, the Twins won the game with a walk-off in the 10th.
Off of Alejandro Pena was the Braves pitcher.
Yeah, so that was I mean, that especially if you like a pitcher's duel, which, as we mentioned yesterday, I love a pitcher's duel. So,
yeah, me too. I absolutely love it. I much prefer a postseason 1-0.
Yeah,
regular season, I'm more of a 3-2 guy, but I love good pitching, and it's always been my thing.
Yeah,
I used to be a home run girl, but now I'm on the pitching bandwagon.
That's the thing. I mean, you just grasp the drama, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And the gravity, like then it becomes every single pitch. And
matters so
you know,
much.
what we know is that pitchers tell us all the time, your dad's told you, at this level, at this stage, and especially in the postseason, every pitch is max effort, you know?
Yeah.
And every pitch in that situation is sort of do or die.
And then, so if you're talking about that, then how much more impressive as a viewer, or I guess if you're like understanding the game as a whole, are you more impressed with the starting pitcher that goes 7 and is super dominant, or are you more impressed with like a bullpen game that's just like thrown together, but everyone's on the same page?
You know, I think back to, we've referenced this once, I think, since we've been on. I think back to the World Series. I think Jeff was there too in 2020 when Tyler Glasnow was mowing down.
Oh, it was Blake Snell.
I mean, that's what I meant. Blake Snell was mowing down the Dodgers.
Right.
And got pulled.
It was he had a 1-hitter through 6, like 9 strikeouts. Like the Dodgers had no chance. And then he gives up a leadoff single. Like it wasn't even a hard hit ball. It was like a ground single through the middle, and that was it.
And that pitching performance to me was one of my favorite things I'd ever seen. It was so amazing because they're sitting here on the brink of elimination, and a guy who's also, by the way, was he headed for free agency that year?
No,
he wasn't. In fact, they had to trade him, didn't they? They traded him to San Diego. But anyway, with all that on the line for this young man to go out there and pitch like that, it was just phenomenal to me. And so I would say, I like that. The length, right? As opposed to, Mariano Rivera did it like it was almost automatic. Yeah. For the most part, you know.
Yeah, and then at the end of his career is just he would pitch 2 innings. If the Yankees had the lead after the 7th, Mariano Rivera was in. Early on it might have been setup guy Rivera, but once he was established as Mariano Rivera, he would pitch 2 innings.
Yeah.
And it happened in that game 7 against the Diamondbacks. He came in and pitched the 8th. And it was like, oh, well, all right. This so much for this one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how that inning unfolded. It feels like something funky happened. But Luis Gonzalez got the hit. There's a 1-out hit with the bases loaded. And it was just a little flare. And Joe Torre had decided to move the infield in. If the infield is if the middle of the infield's at double play depth, it's an out because Jeter would have caught it. But I also think because Rivera just didn't give a hard contact. So I think the choice was, well, we should play him in. It's not like Gonzalez flew down the bases, but if they were to play double play depth and he'd hit a soft grounder, they're not turning 2. And the game's over anyway. So it was, but it wasn't like a rocket that won the game. It's just this little broken bat flare that barely got to the outfield grass that ended up winning the game. And that World Series was after 9/11. It had George Bush throw out the first pitch in New York, and there was the debate, well, why don't you throw out the first pitch? Well, why don't you do it in Arizona when the series opens? Because the series opened in the National League ballpark that year. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it in New York. So a lot happened in that series.
He tells a great story about that, too, where he was underneath Yankee Stadium, in the bowels of Yankee Stadium, in one of the, probably in one of the batting cage areas. And he's working on it, and Derek Jeter comes up to him and says, Mr. President, you going to throw off the mound? And he goes, well, what do you think, Derek? What should I do? He said, you should throw off the mound.
Yeah.
So George is like, oh, God. He's getting older and stuff. He played a lot of baseball, but he's going to – she's like, all right.
It's a little different.
Said,
well, and he was wearing a bulletproof vest,
too. And a leather jacket above that.
Yeah.
And so he says, all right, well, Derek says I got to throw off the mound. And then Jeter's walking out of whatever the room was, the batting cages or whatever. He walks out and he goes, oh, and Mr. President,
don't bounce it.
Don't screw up. Yeah, don't bounce it. Yeah, don't bounce it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He threw a perfect pitch.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the Dodgers are 1 win away. The Yankees are 2 wins away. Potential Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, MVP matchup in the World Series. And pitching will be interesting today.
It will. I mean, the baseball will be interesting today. It's been interesting other than really a few games in this NLCS. It's been interesting throughout these playoffs. It's dramatic. That's the main thing.
We love
right?
the drama.
That's what people love. And that is why, I don't know if the numbers are still as high, but that's why the numbers have been high on TV.
Viewers will be up. Mark my words. If
yeah.
it's Dodgers, Yankees,
be huge.
It will be the most viewed World Series to date.
And it won't be on Bally. And in fact, nothing ever will be again. Bally Sports is now, starting October 21st, actually, Bally Sports is the FanDuel Sports Network. It will change in its configuration some. The word I hear from everybody is that there are several teams, the Tigers included, who, after going with MLB for a bit, may be back to that group. The Rangers, however, are not one of them.
Right.
The Rangers have no intention of ever being a part of a broadcast. See, again, especially after you establish your own production department, which is what the Rangers are in the process of doing, you will not go back to a third party producing the games for you. So there will be some teams on the new FanDuel Sports Network in the future, but for now and forever, it won't be the Rangers. So you won't have to worry about that and the frustration, no doubt, that Bally provided during its time as the Rangers carrier.
Good.
Yeah.
So long.
Yeah, it is.
Jeff can probably say a little bit more than Man Rads.
No, I think he can say the most.
Yeah.
Definitely he can say the most.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously, it doesn't mean the end of jobs for everybody that ever worked there, which I'm glad about that.
Yeah.
A lot of friends still over there, and I root for them, and I root for this network in its new configuration to do well, and I don't blame fans for the continued frustration that they had not being able to watch the games on Bally Sports. It was a very frustrating situation, but that part of it is no more. So there you go.
End of an era.
Yeah, end of an era. A little sad, but also hopeful. And I think that the Rangers are planning on, I've talked to a few people, they're planning on doing it right, and they will do it right. They've got the drive, the determination, and the money to make it a really good, and the people already. I've already talked to a few of the people that are going to work over there. They've got the people in place that'll make this thing good. So the future of television broadcasts on Rangers games is very bright. Okay.
All right.
Everybody good?
Yeah, let's go to the weekend. And have
You want to take a break now and go to the weekend and come back Monday?
Let's do that. I
Why
say we
not?
do that.
Yeah.
All
All right. We're taking a break.
I think both teams that need to win will win, and the series will be done.
You think it's going to be done tomorrow?
Yeah. I kind of
Okay.
do.
No, wait. So you think the Dodgers are going to win?
Dodgers win tonight.
Okay. And then the
Yankees win
Yankees.
tonight and tomorrow.
oh, okay.
Wow.
All right.
Bold predictions here.
I like it.
Man.
I like it.
Okay, there you go. Looks like it'll be Dodgers against the Yankees. That one starts next week. We'll be here all next week, too. We hope you will join us, too. Thanks for joining us today right here on the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.